I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. We have a winner. The producers of the winning I Confess video come clean about Get Clean.
I was thinking about my experience as a Christian and the forgiveness that I've received through confession and how I could represent that visually.
Plus, which should come first, confirmation or communion? Bishop DiMarzio goes into the deep with his perspective.
This is not just a sacrament of maturity, it's not just a rite of passage, but it is something that people need to be prepared for.
And it's the Catholic young adult event that's head and shoulders above all others. This pilgrim gets ready to make the trip.
Having the youth group and going on this pilgrimage definitely helps me in my ways of thinking about God and my faith.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. The sacrament of reconciliation, commonly known as confession, is a widely practiced but almost universally feared custom of the Catholic Church. Ask around, and many Catholic faithful might admit to preferring a root canal over going to a priest to confess their sins. Knowing that, the creative minds of the Diocese of Brooklyn, Rockville Center, and the Archdiocese of New York launched an unprecedented social media campaign about confession with a simple message: just do it. The I Confess contest challenged student filmmakers, the future Spielbergs and Coppolas among us, to create 1-minute videos that took the scary out of the sacrament and got people to the confessional just in time for the celebration of Easter. Taking a page from reality competitions like American Idol, the over 190 submissions were whittled down by the people's choice. And with almost 25,000 views and over 700 likes on the I Confess channel, the choice was clear. Get Clean, the hands-down favorite, was produced by Melinda Collins and George Simon, and I had a chance to sit down and talk with them about their cinematic tour de force and, of course, confession. Well, Melinda and George, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, and congratulations too, I guess I should say, first of all. The video's great.
Thank you.
It is called Get Clean, and we'll, of course, have that for our viewers. And we'll put a link up to on it on our website and all that as well.
Thank
so
you.
Everybody can go and see it. But first of all, Melinda, I'll ask you first. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the video.
Well, the idea for the video for Get Clean came a long time before the actual I Confess contest, before I heard about it. I had this idea as a media student. I was looking for my next project to do in school, and I was thinking about my experience as a Christian and the forgiveness that I've received through confession and how I could represent that visually. And so this idea kind of just sprang from my own life and how I feel about confession. So once I heard about the video or the contest, I realized this is the perfect opportunity, and so switched from getting an A to getting a scholarship.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, George, where did you come into all of this?
Well, Melinda had told me about the idea when she originally conceived it, back when she was thinking about it for a project, and then she had messaged me about it after finding out about the contest because the idea just happened to be like perfectly curtailed to exactly what the I Confess contest was all about. So she asked me if I thought that it was a good idea or that if we could do it, and we just went from there and tried to make it happen.
George is the most talented cinematographer that I know, so obviously that's why I went to him. It wasn't just because.
Friends in high places, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
I know the right guy for this. Was it difficult? I mean, how long did it take to kind of put everything together from the I guess pre-production and shooting and editing and all that? How long did it take to get to a finished product?
Well, pre-production consisted of one phone call the night before.
That's awesome. That's the kind of pre-production I like.
Yeah, it was very easy, very easy. There was no script or anything. So I was hesitant to do it because I had a lot on my schedule going on at the time. And so I had told George, no, put the brakes on, we're not going to do it. And then he found out about how awesome of an opportunity it was, and he called me and he was like, we got to do it, we got to do it. So we did it. The next morning, we filmed for 3 hours, and then we pretty much edited in the middle of the night or between classes because that's all the time we had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's very good. And the finished product, of course, is great.
Thank you.
The prize, I know, is great for you guys. Tell us a little about the prize. And I know that they've done something a little special for you, George, in this process as well. Tell me a little bit, because I know that there's a scholarship, and then there was also money that was going to go to the school, but now that's kind of changed a little bit. Tell me about it.
Well, like you said, the scholarship, since Melinda applied, for the actual contest, I wasn't in school at the time. I was just some vagabond, hanging out around the school. And I went to JP Catholic for 2 years before leaving and taking a year off. And so after she got in touch with me about it and we did the video and everything and things started going really well, the president of our university brought us in and told us how proud he was that that everything was going so well and that he was really hoping that that the video would be successful. And then he offered very generously to allow Melinda to keep the full $25,000 scholarship and to apply the entire $25,000 grant that the school would have been receiving to my tuition so that I could come back and finish school.
That's talk about a great gift and kind of a great surprise
yes.
too. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we didn't even expect to win. We just kind of did it on a whim. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, great, and congratulations to both of you guys. I know
Thank
that you. Usually I'll say, okay, well, you've got the money. What are you going to do now? I'm going to go to Disney World, but you can't really do that. You kind of have to go to school with this.
I'm going to go to class.
That's right. Which is great in and of itself,
yes,
because you get to continue your education and all of that. So best of luck, and our thoughts and prayers go with you for everything in the future. And of course, we'll put the video. It's available at iconfess.com. We'll put it up on our website as well. People can go there, click on it, and see it. And we thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here.
A couple of very nice, well, I don't know if I can call them kids really, but very nice young people there. They're very wonderful, and the video is great, and we will put it up on the web for you to see. Well, there is more currents coming up. Some religious leaders protesting the debt ceiling debate on Capitol Hill could be trading clerical robes for pinstripes. No, I'm not talking about a Yankees uniform. We'll have that story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, she's getting ready for her very first World Youth Day. A young lady from Queens tells us why she's going. First, though, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Washington is still in gridlock over the debt ceiling as the August 2nd deadline gets ever closer. Religious leaders made their voices heard at the Capitol yesterday, but they left in handcuffs. 11 religious leaders were arrested for protesting inside the Capitol Rotunda. They objected to budget cut proposals that would affect the poor. One of those arrested accused Congress of protecting corporations while shredding the safety net for millions of the most vulnerable people. A judge in Philadelphia ruled today that 3 priests and 2 others will stand trial together in a sex abuse case. Monsignor William Lynn is accused of transferring priests who abused children to unsuspecting parishes. Now, 2 priests, as well as a former priest and a former teacher, are charged with raping boys. The judge did dismiss some conspiracy charges that attempted to connect the defendants. Meantime, the church in Ireland is dealing with its own abuse scandal. The recently recalled nuncio to that country is reportedly being moved to the Czech Republic. Archbishop Giuseppe Leonzo was recalled from Ireland last week after Irish Prime Minister Enda Kenny accused the church of dysfunctions, disconnection, and elitism. Kenny's remarks came following a report that accused an Irish diocese of failing to report abuse claims. Now, meanwhile, a priest in Ireland has apologized for comparing the Prime Minister to Hitler. The priest authored a leaflet titled Heil Herr Kenny, in which he likened Kenny's denunciation of the church in Parliament to a speech by Adolf Hitler. The priest apologized for the headline, saying that he regretted any misunderstandings that may have arisen from it. He said he was not comparing the Prime Minister to Hitler. Well, back in this country, a judge has dismissed a lawsuit that attempted to block Texas Governor Rick Perry from taking part in a national day of prayer and fasting. The judge ruled that the Freedom from Religion Foundation did not have legal standing to sue. Perry has invited the other 49 governors to join him on August 6th at the event known as the Response. Perry says he's going to be there, but he does not know what his role will be. Well, meanwhile, Perry, a potential GOP presidential candidate, says states should have the right to ban abortion. According to ABC News, Perry says if you believe in the 10th Amendment, you have to apply it to everything, not just a few issues. The Supreme Court in its 1973 Roe v. Wade decision ruled that a woman's right to an abortion fell within her right to privacy. From North Carolina, the Republican-led legislature there was able to override the Democratic governor's veto of new abortion restrictions. According to the new law, women seeking abortions will have to wait 24 hours and view materials on abortion alternatives. The law also requires doctors to perform an ultrasound no more than 4 hours before the abortion. It is set to take effect in 90 days. Well, heading to World Youth Day, there's an app for that. Rome Reports has details.
It's called IGP the Second. It allows you to follow World Youth Day from your iPhone or iPad. It will be available starting August 1st in 5 languages: English, Italian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese.
The idea was born 2 years ago. We began to consider what information, news, or features might be of interest to those involved in World Youth Day.
Downloading the app costs about $5, which will fund projects for the John Paul II Foundation for Youth. The money will help others attend World Youth Day, among other things.
We wanted to do something for young people who are in worse situations than young Europeans, so that they could also participate in the World Youth Day.
The application will allow for immediate access to World Youth Day news, photos, and video on Benedict XVI and John Paul II. You can also better position yourself for events in Madrid and find your friends wherever they may be.
We developed the application called Find Your Friends, which also can be used to find your group's leader if you've gotten lost.
It also has a guide to Madrid with a list of restaurants involved in World Youth Day, as well as the key places for events and even the contact information for volunteers who can answer all types of questions. This app will help even the most prepared in World Youth Day 2011 in Madrid.
Meanwhile, EWTN News is reporting that the mayor of Madrid will present Pope Benedict with a set of golden keys to the city. That ceremony will reportedly take place on August the 18th. And hair today, gone tomorrow. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing a Taco Bell in North Carolina for firing a man who refused to cut his hair. The man is a member of the religious group called the Nazarites, who cite Old Testament passages as forbidding haircuts. Stay with us, there is more currents ahead. Coming up, should confirmation come before communion or vice versa? Bishop DiMarzio weighs in.
Unless we have some kind of preparation or some lengthening of the time for preparation, we will not be able to catechize these young people.
Welcome back. We've all heard the age-old question that sparked heated debates for centuries. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I know I've witnessed several arguments over that seemingly simple question over the years. But now another long-disputed question is popping up once again, sparking debate among many people in the Catholic Church specifically. Has nothing to do with chickens and eggs, all right? In a recent lecture, a North Dakota bishop resurrected the question, and it is, which should come first, communion or confirmation? Both sacraments, or religious rituals, along with the sacrament of baptism, make up what are collectively known as the sacraments of initiation. And they're celebrated, each celebrated at a different milestone in your faith journey. But does it matter which come first? Which one of those comes first? Now, should you be able to join at the table of Christ through communion before you receive the Holy Spirit through confirmation? Well, it seems to be a settled question in Eastern Catholic churches where infants are confirmed immediately after they're baptized, but the debate lives on here in the West. So who better to pose that question to than Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio? Tonight, he wades into the deep on this hot topic. Bishop DiMarzio, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Really appreciate your time. One of your fellow bishops, Bishop Aquila of North Dakota, recently sort of brought up an age-old debate, and he kind of explained his reasons for believing that children should receive their confirmation before communion. Explain to our viewers kind of that debate and where you sort of are coming from when you talk about it.
Well, debate, or it's a question of the issue of the sacraments of initiation. In the early church, again, people were baptized as adults. The process of catechesis was sometimes very long, several years, and the process was one which culminated in the Easter Vigil, where a person was baptized, confirmed, and received the Eucharist all at one time. But these were adults. Things changed over time. We started baptizing infants. This was a natural occurrence within the church because parents wanted to share their faith with their children, and there's good theological basis for that practice of infant baptism, which is questioned by some outside the church, clearly. But since that happened, then confirmation became something that was given to the children afterwards, after First Communion. And communion, again, for so many centuries, was delayed. They were receiving communion when they were 12 and 13 years old. And then St. Pius X moved it to the age of reason. So there was a time when maybe communion and confirmation might have come together as a sacrament, finishing the sacraments of initiation for these teenagers. But then you've got now 8-year-old children receiving First Communion. And those who are arguing to reestablish the original sequence of the sacraments of initiation would have confirmation preceding First Communion, usually at the same time, the same ceremony. And now in Newark, when I was auxiliary bishop there, they were experimenting with it and had it at a couple of parishes. And I remember the one I did. It was a real experience, but not a very satisfying one. I mean, the children really were not aware of everything that was happening. Sure. And so I think it's a little bit much for the children of that age to experience that. Secondly, I think the whole issue of catechesis is important. We know that this is not just a sacrament of maturity, it's not just a rite of passage, but it is something that people need to be prepared for. And in our certain circumstances today, unless we have some kind of preparation or some lengthening of the time for preparation, we will not be able to catechize these young people. So if we do it at First Communion, they're going to receive those 2 years of instruction when they're 7 and 8 years old. How much can they absorb at that point? And then you're not going to see them for a long time after that. So my belief is that, yes, I think confirmation should even be given later. Sometimes in our diocese at 6th and 7th grade, we just put a new policy, and that should be the 8th grade. Sure. I would prefer that it was even in high school. But circumstances being what they are, the catechists don't think they can get the catechist and have enough ability to postpone confirmation that long. So 8th grade, some parishes may want to do it later, and they may, sure. But the norm is the minimum is 8th grade. So that's basically, I think, the debate and how I come out on it. Sure, sure.
Well, and you know, I mean, I guess just the advantage of it, as I'm seeing it, is of having that later, is that, so, you know, really the kids and teenagers can really understand more about the faith and right. Know more about it when that happens.
And make a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it that happens in the process? I know that it seems to me like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to me like basically kind of each diocese can sort of do what they want with the order of things. So is that how it works? Can each bishop kind of say this is how we're going to do it?
Each diocese is free. They tried to get some consensus at the bishops' conference, but there was not able to come to one. So each diocese now has its own policy about the order of the sacraments of initiation and the age at which they're administered.
Sure, sure. And one last question here before we wrap it up. Given the sort of debate around this issue, can we expect any changes to be coming to the Diocese of Brooklyn, or are things going to kind of stay as they are?
Recently, you know, the last 2 months, we did have a change that we're saying the minimum is 8th grade, and if people want to postpone at the high school, they may. Sure. So I think we had our change.
There we go. Already happened. All right, Bishop DiMarzio, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. There is more Currents ahead. When we return, it's more than just a trip. This World Youth Day pilgrim shares her story of faith as she prepares for a spiritual journey.
That there's so many youth, there's so many people my age that are so strong, and their feelings about their faith is just incredible.
And finally tonight, you know, when you pick up a newspaper or turn on your TV, does it seem like there's always some sort of mushroom cloud of scandal or bad press that overshadows the good things the church is doing locally and abroad? Well, it is that very same feeling that there is more to the church than the sum of its human failings that is inspiring one young lady to pack her bags and take a trip that over 1 million young adults from every corner of the world will take to assemble in Spain and celebrate World Youth Day. Lauren Alvarez is a parishioner at Holy Family Parish in Flushing, Queens, and for the first time in her life will join the 500-strong Madrid-bound Brooklyn delegation of pilgrims headed to the mother of all Catholic young adult events. It's a journey she hopes will show her the best of the world and her church. Tonight, Lauren Alvarez is our eyewitness.
I've never been on a pilgrimage, and I've heard about it in school, I've learned about it, but to actually go on the act and actually do it is just, to me, brings a smile to my face. I'm so excited because of all the positive things I've been hearing about it, that there's so many youth, there's so many people my age that are so strong, and their feelings about their faith is just incredible, especially with just in my parish alone. So to branch out and to see people from other countries, everybody there has something in common. Everybody there is there for the same reason, to see the Pope, to meet new people, to be around people who have the same faith, who have the same belief system and morals. We are so closely related in age that we have that relationship or that our automatic bond that it's just like, oh, it's not somebody extremely older than me, but it's somebody on my level, my peer that I can relate to. People who speak different languages, have the same belief system and faith that I do is just, I think, amazing. There's definitely certain things that happen in my life that I would question my faith and God. I still question from time to time since what has happened in the world, the wars and stuff like that. But as I joined the youth group, as I went to Catholic schools, it definitely solidified and strengthened my faith through life. My family never pushed me down because they're definitely Catholic, but they're not as strong-willed with their faith. So having the youth group and going on this pilgrimage definitely helps me in my ways of thinking about God and my faith. It helps me just have a stronger willpower to see certain things a certain way and push on and help others. Meeting the Pope is definitely exciting, and I'm a little nervous because he's such a holy man and he represents such a strong light and a happiness and we're gonna be so close to him, and it's inspiring, but it's a little intimidating. So I'm excited. I hope that I come back having a reassurance in my faith, understanding that I'm not alone and I have people outside my parish that will help push me in the right direction. I'm looking to have my faith strengthened in ways that I can't do by myself, something that people reassure me, people who push me, they show me another way to see something, to see all of us come together and to know that if I go to China, or if I go to Spain, or if I go to Australia, that I'll still have that family demographic. I'll still have that faith in that family, that in the sort of, it's not just at home. I have a home in other places with the church.
Great story there. I was talking to Ed, our news director, earlier, and we were talking about how very articulate all of these young people have been so far as we've been kind of profiling them, getting ready for World Youth Day. And it really, really is very impressive and how strong in their faith they are, and they're really looking forward to it. And of course, we'll be here to cover it. Well, that is it for this edition of Currents. Before we go, though, I do want to let you know about some temporary changes for the month of August. Now, for the next week, we'll be bringing you some classic Currents. Beginning on Monday, August 8th, we'll have a weekly edition of the show every Monday throughout August, all right? We'll also be with you every night, though, during World Youth Day, August 16th through the 21st, and that will include exclusive coverage of the pilgrims from the Diocese of Brooklyn. So be sure and tune in for all of that. But don't go anywhere just yet. Stay right where you are. Pop some popcorn, sit back, relax, and watch Indie Films of Faith on Faith Film Festival at 8 o'clock tonight. But if the lure of the Smurfs opening is just too strong to keep you indoors, don't walk out the door until you've checked in with our esteemed movie critics on Real Faith at 8:30 p.m. Does your movie get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Well, you have to find out to watch. Well, that is it for this edition of the show. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. And it looks like those 90-degree days are making a comeback, so stay cool, New York.